All right, so this is still the AM show, and time now to follow up on the move by Ghana to want to produce vaccines locally. It's become really necessary after the global vaccine shortage brought on by a decision of the world's richest and most powerful countries. They decided to grab for themselves more vaccines than they could ever need, and also by the decision of India, where most of the world's vaccines are produced to halt exports. This morning, we'll be speaking with Professor William Ampofo, his secretary of the Presidential Vaccine Manufacturing Committee, to get to find out how far along we've come with the project. He joins us via Zoom. Good morning to you, Professor Ampofo.
Yes, good morning.
And I understand you're out of the country.
Yes, we had a couple of meetings and on a visit to the European Union in Brussels.
All right. So how far, first of all, I just want to understand exactly what the mandate is, what the committee is supposed to do as far as the production of vaccines is concerned. Are we going to try to get the license to produce the vaccines, or we want to go through from the development, starting with the development of the vaccine itself?
Thank you very much for having me on the program this morning. The vision of the president is straightforward. He would like Ghana to become self-sufficient in vaccine production to meet our national and, if possible, regional needs. So the committee was charged with the task of various terms of reference, and has been in place since February that it was set up. And we think that there are 5 basic strategies that are required, to achieve this vision of self-sufficiency in vaccine manufacturing, development, production in Ghana. First of all, is to establish domestic vaccine, manufacturing. We do not make vaccines. We have a vibrant pharmaceutical industry. So the first strategy is to establish domestic vaccine manufacturing. In order to have domestic vaccines that are, credible, meet international standards, our Food and Drugs Authority must have the ability to release these vaccines, to certify that these vaccines are truly meeting the international quality required. That's WHO good manufacturing practice. You talked about research and development. That is the foundation of vaccine development. So we want to strengthen our research and development base in Ghana, academia, research institutions, and that is really critical. And of course, funding is required to do this. So we want to establish the partnerships, the agreements that will give us the funding to cover these activities. And then most importantly, we must establish the critical human resource capacity that is required to drive this project. So not just research, but also the technical know-how that will man these plants that will make these vaccines. So in a nutshell, this is what the committee has fashioned. And we think that the National Vaccine Institute, as a one-stop secretariat, providing, linking up all these issues to do with vaccines, would be the best approach going forward. So this is what the committee has come up with. And basically, the discussions with various partners are moving forward. And as you are aware, there's going to be a stakeholder consultation on the 30th of September, where we will have varied inputs into the process that will go forward and eventually should be laid before Parliament.
All right, so 2 things that you've talked about, which has to do with the human resource that's needed to get this going and also the funding. Would you say we have the human resource, or you, as part of the work, you want to find out if indeed we have the human resource?
Well, the committee has done a situation analysis. We've looked at the existing capacity in country. We've had proposals from academia. We've had proposals also from industry, both domestic and internationally. And we are convinced that, yes, we do have what it takes to move forward with this project to make vaccines in Ghana. You may not know it, but we did make vaccines before, animal vaccines, at the Veterinary Service Directorate. And we've had various clinical trials. Some are ongoing, for vaccines in Ghana. I come from an excellent research institute, the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research. We do a lot of work with the West Africa Center for Cell Biology. We have centers at CSR. We have centers at KNUST, the Kumasi Center for Research in Tropical Medicine. So, and we have, also a lot of research happening in the University of Cape Coast. UHAS is also coming up. The president was in Ho recently. So we do have the human potential to actually move this forward.
All right, and how about the technology? As part of your work, I believe that you also want to look at the technologies that are available for the producing or development of these vaccines and whether we're going for one or the other.
This is a really important question. So different technologies are evolving. And if you've been noting the kind of COVID vaccines that have been developed, incredible reflection of man's capacity moving forward now, advanced technology, the different vaccines that are available. So it's part of the work. We're doing studies on fill-finish technology. We're also doing studies on market analysis, and we're informed and motivated by the fact that in 2027, Ghana will graduate from support from the Gavi Alliance, which currently supplies vaccines for our EPI program. So it's looking at appropriate technology, finding the suitable partnerships, but beneficial partnerships that will avail the technology for us. We actually have in the roadmap that we are going to be discussing with various stakeholders, short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. And one critical need that we've identified now are COVID vaccines. So the appropriate technology that will enable us to access bulk COVID vaccines, do fill-finish applications to make it available is one option that we are considering for the short term.
All right, so that's interesting. I was actually coming to the short-term bit. So essentially, we're looking at maybe getting the license to produce the vaccines, manufacture the vaccines locally, to start with.
Yes. Vaccine manufacturing, the actual production, will be private sector led. So we have received, the committee has received various proposals. Government is fully supportive of, private local ventures that will be able to access, a COVID vaccine and produce it locally in line with our target to have over 20 million of the population vaccinated. That is the target for this year. So we're looking at how within 2 years' time we can have COVID vaccines made locally by, by the private sector with full support from government. You're right. The issues of licensing, the issues of technology transfer, and all those will be worked out by the, appropriate agencies supporting these companies. As I mentioned, the committee has received various proposals. Some of them are very promising. Some of the local companies have indeed done a lot of work, and we are very happy to see that we can engage with international partners and move this process forward.
How long do you think it's going to take for us to get to this point, as saying the short-term goal that we're looking at?
So the roadmap for vaccine manufacturing in Ghana currently has 2 years as the short-term goal. Within 2 years, we hope that we will establish at least one vaccine manufacturing plant for COVID-19 vaccines. We expect that the FDA, within 2 years, will be able to acquire the capacity to do lot release of vaccines manufactured in Ghana. We hope that within 2 years, we would have established tech transfer that would support this local vaccine manufacturing plant. And of course, there needs to be some strong financial package also established at the same time to support this process. We cannot also move forward without identifying suitable human resource. We have a program that we want to start by doing an exchange training of Ghanaian biomedical biotech, experts with pharmaceutical partners, so that we will, in 2 years, have moved forward with establishing a critical human resource base. We are also encouraging, would like to see, and will fully support specific programs for vaccine research and development in at least 3 of our academic or research institutions. And we have received very solid proposals so far from some of them.
You mentioned proposals from some companies. Are you prepared to tell us these companies that you're looking at or dealing with?
I think we have DK Vaccines that has recently been established. We also have had a strong proposal from Phytorica Limited. We also have Atlantic Life Sciences that has come up. These are some of the local companies that have really stepped up and are looking to have credible programs in place moving forward.
And I know that some of the COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers have been also looking towards Africa. Are there any that we're looking at partnering so that in the short term we can have them setting up some manufacturing units here in Ghana?
I think the Food and Drug Board has registered 6 of these COVID vaccines or so, and the committee is very much interested in working with any of these vaccines that are WHO pre-qualified for emergency use. And indeed, Ghana has used AstraZeneca, we've used Sputnik, we've recently received Moderna, and
Johnson and Johnson.
Johnson and Johnson as well. And we're very hopeful that we could have a public-private, partnership that would utilize any of these vaccines going forward.
Now, there's also the issue of funding. Where are we sourcing the funding from to make this possible?
So I think the commitment of government has been fully demonstrated by the allocation of $25 million in this year's budget by the Ministry of Finance. And that is one critical aspect that we are looking at, working out what the numbers would be in terms of establishing the National Vaccine Institute, in terms of getting the FDA to have full capability for vaccine release, and also specific programs in some of the research institutions that would drive, vaccine R&D forward. The National Vaccine Institute will serve as a one-stop shop, and we have a very close partnership with the Ghana Investment Promotion Center that has worked with some of the international partners to actually help us move to this stage of the roadmap. So that's why the discussion on the roadmap with various stakeholders on the 30th of September is going to be a very important platform to demonstrate, the determination, the milestones that government has set out, and attract, partnerships that will provide the funding for us to fulfill this program that we've set out for the next 10 years.
All right, and this conversation has become really important because of the challenges we're having with the global vaccine supply. I'd want you to enlighten us on what the situation is right now and where the chances of we getting vaccines coming through, as in the country being able to actually procure its own vaccines.
I think that's a different conversation.
I understand, but from where you sit, I believe that
the discussions and the negotiations are to enable us to produce our own vaccines. And one first short-term goal is to access bulk vaccine and do fill finish in Ghana so that we will be able to be in line with the program to have 20 million of Ghana's population vaccinated against COVID. So in the short term, that is a critical target. And we are having discussions with various partners, various agencies that will enable us to satisfy that, objective. The procurement business of vaccines is a totally different, approach that is being handled by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Finance. So the committee chaired by Professor Frimpong Boakye is exploring how within the short-term, medium-term, and long-term, Ghana can make vaccines. Of course, the sustainability of this project depends on market access, satisfying the quality standards, and then ensuring that our own domestic expanded program of immunization, noting that we will graduate from Gavi support in 2027, we establish a pipeline that will produce vaccines okay, at an affordable price for our national needs. However, we do know that our pharmaceutical industry has started export within the sub-region. And so we are hoping that we will be able to establish a market system where in sync with the other groups in the sub-region. And indeed, the African Union has started a conversation on vaccine manufacturing in the continent and is looking at regional hubs. So of course, any long-term strategy will have to understand how sub-regional or regional, market access for vaccines produced in Ghana would be a strong consideration. So this is something that we're looking at in terms of vaccine manufacturing. Current vaccine procurement is done by a different group, and I'm not party to that.
All right. Now, so we're having to do this because of the global vaccine shortage. Will anything change if the market changes and vaccines all of a sudden become so much more available?
That's why I referred you to the Gavi graduation. The issue of COVID-19 has not changed the Gavi graduation. In fact, COVAX and the other partners, COVAX set up by UNICEF and the other partners, WHO, to enable developing countries to have access to COVID-19 vaccines. And that in itself has showed us the difficulty in the international vaccine supply system. So regardless of what happens with COVID-19, actually it has enabled and started a conversation on African countries making their own vaccines so that they will be able to have national health security. We have over 13 antigens in our EPI program, and this is an important conversation to understand how going forward we would be more self-reliant, self-sufficient on vaccines that are required, not just for our EPI program, but when the next outbreak or next pandemic occurs. In the sub-region, we have an ongoing clinical trial for Lassa fever. We had a scare of Ebola next door in Cote d'Ivoire recently. So vaccine self-sufficiency, producing our own vaccines, is something that has become a very important project. And we are very happy that His Excellency the President has made this a priority and has charged us to ensure that within the strategy, within a strategic roadmap that addresses long-term self-sufficiency, we will be able to push forward with this.
All right, thank you very much, Professor William Ampofo. I'd want to also believe that one of the reasons why this has become really important is because of this myth going around that vaccines are something that's produced from the West to want to, eradicate the population in Africa. So it'd be good if we're producing our own.
Yes, of course. Remember that Senegal has been making yellow fever vaccines for a long time. And we're looking at all these issues of quality and safety and being able to ensure our own national health security. COVID-19 has taught us that. And we've seen that even for a new infection or a new infectious agent that spreads rapidly, vaccines are the best tool. I know that a lot of us are alive today, those of us over 50, over 60 years old, because of the vaccines we took when we were younger. And this public health tool is truly an important intervention that we must have going forward. And so vaccines, making them on our own will just be an additional arsenal in our public health capacity.
All right. Should we be expecting any good news when you return from Brussels?
The trip has been very, very productive so far, and we look forward to briefing His Excellency and the other members of the committee. And we're especially looking forward to the interaction with the various targeted stakeholders and the general public on the 30th of September, where we hope that we will have a lot of rich inputs that will improve our strategy, and then ensure that together, all of us move forward in trying to make vaccines in Ghana for the benefit of our people to keep us safe.
All right, thank you very much, Professor William Ampofo. Professor William Ampofo is Secretary to the Vaccine Manufacturing Committee, which is headed by Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, and he's been enlightening us on work being done so far as the committee is concerned. And as he indicating, we're expecting some good news on his return from Brussels, where he's also working, they're working with the work that they're doing regarding what the committee has to do. Coming up also on the AM show, we touch base with the Fix a Country movement on the Takrady demonstration and whether they made the impact they were hoping for. Do stay tuned in. This is still the AM show.